Okay, so we're live. So, let's start with question number one then. Both of you guys read it was just the two poems that we're supposed to be discussing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so first question, beauty is important in both of these poems, but in what ways?
So I think the first poem, the main theme I kind of got from it that had to do with beauty was that it was like beauty is kind of dangerous, I guess. Like it kind of leads you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, maybe. Like she was so set on like, don't do it because I'm going to have a curse, and like, don't look and don't look. And then as soon as she saw like a cute guy, she was like, oh, and then the worst happened to her. So it kind of, I mean, I guess draws a parallel to dating, I guess, and how like looks can kind of mess things up sometimes. I don't know. It's like a shallow response, but
no, that's exactly what I was going to say too. I was going to talk about like, yeah, the dangerous aspect, and that like is important in the really long one. I didn't really understand the really short poem. Basically like let me pull it up real fast. It just said like, oh frick, I got it. Oh, Poetry Explorer. It's just like men and women looking at each other and like what they think and how it affects them. Is that all it's talking about? Maybe.
I think so. Like it was talking about their like strong attraction to each other, but yeah. I don't understand what the like big significance was. Like in the part where it's like learning science and sexless virtue, can the gazer's thought control? Like I don't really know what that means.
Yeah. So maybe it's kind of like how you were saying, like it's dangerous. Like in that first one, she's like cursed if she looks outside, but because of like the beauty that she's seeing out there and like how beautiful the world is, and then the night dude, and she just like can't take it anymore, and so she like loses it and leaves and dies instantly. In this one, it's talking about how like men and women are like super attracted to each other, and like it's like that like innate natural instinct, and it's hard to not like, so it is dangerous in that aspect, maybe.
Yeah, poems view beauty based on appearance of men and women. I think that's one thing that I kind of think of is that focus on the appearance of men and women. And the Lady of Shalott voices the theme of the Victorian era, and in there women were not viewed as equal, I think. Do you think so? and this example showed that Lady of how do you pronounce it? Shalott? Yeah. So that example shows that Lady Shalott is shutting away, working her craft of weaving endlessly. So the sexes, I think that the theme of the attraction that exists between men and women, like what you guys shared about, and men look at women and women look at men in questions, judging each other and so forth. So yeah, I think that both poems are era, which they both present similarities and differences comparing to the Romantic era. So
that's true. Like if we compare like the Romantic era to this, I feel like the Romantic era kind of tried to make everything so like complicated. Like, oh, it takes this, 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 and this to feel beauty, and this is how you portray it in like all these different ways. And they like tried to just make it like it's almost like they were trying to simplify it, but what they were actually doing is just making it more complicated in like 1,000 million different ways. And then I feel like these poems is kind of just like you're attracted to someone, like they're beautiful, so you're attracted to them and like you want to sleep with them basically. And so I think that they like the Romantic era was just kind of like making everything complicated, and this one is just like you could tell that they weren't like as deep thinkers. They were kind of just like, well, this is what we see, so that's what it is.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Like what's the first guy's name? Burke. How he like listed it out, right? Like these are the qualities of beauty, and he's like super specific about it. And like he made like his own super high standard for things and like overcomplicated it, exactly like you were saying. And yeah, I feel like this makes it more like simple and what's the word? Like, yeah, just like straightforward. So, cool. So we'll go to the next question. Let's see. Who is allowed to look at beautiful things?
I feel like that's like a trick question. I don't know. I mean, isn't anyone allowed to look at a beautiful face?
So I think, so like the first poem, it was like, she kind of described it in the writing. So what I understood is like this girl or this woman or lady, whatever, she's stuck in this house or she's imprisoned, and she can't look at she can't look at the outside at all except for through a mirror. So it's like she's not even allowed to look at it or she dies. But like everyone else out there, like the knights and the like handsome guy that passes, he's like looking at everything and he's like beautiful himself and whatever. And then in the second one, it's just like men and women look at each other, and that's how it is. And so like in the first one, it's like only the men can look maybe, and she can't, but she is through a mirror.
That's actually, no, I totally get what you're saying, because I don't know when at all, but like remember when like girls didn't really used to get to pick like who they liked? I mean, by this time they did, but like before that and like the olden days, like didn't the men just like a girl and they're like, okay, I want to marry her, and then they had to, so like they weren't really allowed to like shop around, only the guys got to. So I don't know, probably doesn't have anything to do with it, but it kind of just reminded me of like, yeah, like what you're saying, like guys were allowed to look but she wasn't, and because she did, like bad things happened or whatever. But then in the second poem it was different, because it was showing like very obviously that like they were both looking at each other, like the man and the woman were both attracted to each other. What I don't get at the end of the second poem was it said like the subtle serpent steals. I don't know what that means. Isn't a serpent like something like bad, like devilish or something usually? Like is it saying that something bad happened, or is it just saying that like the sense of most heart reveals, is it saying that like through their attraction, like it's a bad thing somehow? I don't know. That's way off topic from what we were talking about, but
so it says, oh, the very last part, yeah. Twined in grains, a sense of difference, like the subtle serpent steals, but through recognition and fancy, which the English heart reveals. Subtle serpent steals. You have something, Susanna?
No, I was thinking that men and women were both allowed to look at beautiful things. Like men can look at women, and women can look at men and see the beauty in them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of tricky.
Yeah, super tricky. Yeah, so maybe the first guy thought that like, or maybe he was writing like in that era, it was more appropriate to Wait, hold on. She wrote something about this in the little. Oh, she is not allowed to look at the world directly, but must look at it through the mirror. That shows her a view from her window. When she decides to look out at the handsome Lancelot, she dies. Oh, I thought I said more than that. But yeah, I think that, like, personally, obviously, like, both men and women can look at anything beautiful or upon each other. And then I think that like, as a subtle serpent steals, I wonder if that means, like, it's just like a natural thing. Like, serpents are known for being, like, evil and stealing, and they can't really control it, maybe, and maybe it does have, like, that kind of dangerous twist. Like, beauty's good, but it's, like, natural, and, like, bad, just like a serpent is naturally kind of evil. But, like, yeah, I have no idea, actually. Dope. You guys have any other things on that question, or should we go to the next one? Next one.
What was the question again?
Just who was allowed to look at beautiful things. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think we covered it.
Next. Okay. Is this different in each poem? Okay, we already discussed that. Like, yeah, the first one, it's about how she can't look at the world of beautiful things, and the second one, it seems pretty neutral or even. The next question is, what are the effects of beauty on the viewer? Death. I don't know.
Well, I think both poems express the importance of appearance. For example, the Lady Charlotte, when she fell in gender equality based on beauty, and the sexes provides the context of attraction being something beyond our control sometimes. So I think these two poems compare to the Romantic era. For instance, the effects of love in Keats' work, and how love affects both men and women. That stands seen for these two poems. So I think their view, the two poems' view of beauty on women, maybe men had a bit more focus on fashion in the Romantic era, but the Victorian era seemed to have a little bit more gender unequal. I don't know. That's just something I wrote down for.
I think, I mean, effects in the first one are pretty obvious. Like, she dies because she thought that guy was cute and wanted to look at him. So, I mean, that's like a pretty interesting effect. And then the guy, though, like, whenever wasn't she already dead, and she was floating by in the boat, and then they all, like, who was it? Let me see. They all saw her, whoever they were. The knights and the lord and the dame. And they, like, read her name because she had wrote it or whatever, and then they were asking about it, and then the one that she thought was cute, the Lancelot, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it says that he mused a little space, and he said that she had a lovely face, and God in his mercy lent her grace. And so it's just kind of interesting how, like, none of the other ones said that, but he did, and he was the one that she broke her, like, thing for. I don't know where I was going with this. What was the question? The effects. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, he seemed to have been sympathetic about it. I mean, like, he thought she was pretty, obviously, and she was just laying there dead. So, I mean, that's probably a pretty sucky effect to, like, watch someone that's just die right there. I don't know. And he didn't even know that it was for him, basically, that she did that. So I mean, that's kind of weird. So I bet if he would have known that, the effects would have been a lot worse. And I'm rambling. And for the second poem, the effects are basically, I think, just that they can't really control their attraction and how they're feeling about it. Like both of them are just saying how like they're dreaming of each other and they're curious and they are revealing things and all that stuff. So their effects are pretty physical, I think, in this period, like in the Victorian period or whatever. I think it's more physical, whereas in previous discussions when we were talking about the Romantic era, a lot of it was like the ins, outside and inside, like especially not Burke but Kant. Like remember his was like a lot of like ideas and stuff like that. So I don't know, just different. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Like I was kind of wondering like what the significance of him being like, oh, she's cute, like this dead cute girl. Like, what was it like? He was the only one, and maybe he did like have attraction, or maybe he was just like whatever. Like I have no idea who this girl is, but yeah, she has a nice face. And like after she had like left and broke this curse and like basically died for him, and so I don't know, cause yeah, the other poem makes it seem really like equal, like men and women maybe would do the same things for each other to that extent. And in the first one, it's like she was like couldn't look at all, and then when she tried to look, she died, and then he was like, "That's nice," you know, like. So I don't know. I mean, effects of beauty, like, yeah, I guess they kind of had two different opinions. Maybe between like which sex had more of an effect on, or if they were equal or what. But I guess yeah, it just causes you to do crazy things, and it like is like impossible to not like follow. I guess like after a while, like you just have to. Like she like withstood for so long, you know, like only looking out of the mirror, and then she just like. He was like the last straw, and then she went off.
I feel like it kind of goes with like the stereotype, which I don't think it's true at all, but I know like I can still acknowledge that it's a stereotype that like women are the ones that like go out of their way for guys, and guys just kind of sit back and they like do their like I don't know, like what, jerkish, is that what you would say? I don't know. So like I feel like that kind of goes with like she's doing like all of this for him, like she wants to get to him and look at him or whatever, and he was kind of just like, oh, that's a pretty face. But it's like, had he known, that might not have been the case, obviously, but it's just kind of funny that goes with a stereotype that isn't true, probably. That was the last question, huh?
Yes, that's the last question.
Yeah. So it says, so those are the questions, and then it just says we need to have one quote from each poem. I feel like we kind of did that already. We talked about, yeah. So the last quote from that first long poem, like, oh, that was nice, or that was a cute face, whatever he said, kind of like describing that maybe he wasn't all in and she was, and that is like the different of effects. And then the quote from the second one.
You could use the last one where it's like, where it talks about the serpent, and you can kind of talk about how it's dangerous, like how at the beginning of the conversation we were talking about how like beauty can be dangerous and all the reasons why. So you kind of use that and go that way with it.
Yeah.
You could also use the beginning when they're like saying curiosity, they know each other and each other only can, or whatever, like just that they both have like the same attraction and they kind of can't control it. The first one, where's the part where she, I feel like after like the mirror broke and the curse went, she kind of went crazy. Like, why did she go down to the boat and like just like lay there and like write her name on a boat? Like all that stuff was like kind of super random. But
love. She did it for love.
Love. Exactly. I don't know. You can just kind of talk about, I can't find it right now, but where the mirror broke and how she kind of just like yelled like, oh, the curse has come upon me. But it's like, okay, here it is. She left the web, she left the loom, she made 3 paces through the room. Like she just did all these things and she was like, I don't care. Like I'm just going to look at everything that I want just because of like his one thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Does it ever talk about where the curse came from or she was just cursed?
Yeah, I think it just said that she was cursed. Yeah, was she like a prisoner or is that just like the kind of idea that we got? Like, was she just in a house by herself? Like, she just sat, like, did she eat?
Yeah. I think it's just the idea of imprisonment and like, it doesn't ever talk about, I don't think like anybody actually imprisoning her or if she's actually in a prison. I'm pretty sure she's just like in a house weaving all the time or knitting or whatever they call it.
Yeah. All it says, it's talking about how she weaves, and then she said, a curse is on her if she stay to look down to Camelot. She knows not what the curse may be, and so she weaveth steadily. So yeah, it doesn't say where, and little other here, that's she.
Oh,
yeah, it doesn't say where it comes from. And it even says that she doesn't care. Like she's like, and little other care has she. So that's like saying like she doesn't really care to do anything else. Like she's cool with weaving and like chilling, sitting there and staring at the mirror. And she didn't like she wasn't bothered at all by that lifestyle or by doing that until she saw him.
Yeah.
That's kind of something you could maybe talk about or quote.
Beauty drives you to suicide.
Oh, that's a
terrible.
deep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me see real fast. Let's see, read both these poems. What are they done? Just say that maybe how they compare to how they compare the poems of romantics. So I guess just like real quick, how they compare to the poems of the romantics.
I would say just emphasize that like the romantics tried to complicate things, and what did we end up saying? Like Burke was a lot about physical beauty, which this one is too, but I feel like it was in like different ways. I don't know. I just feel like he tried to like complicate it. And I feel like this one, especially the second poem, kind of just made it super simple. Like boy sees girl, girl sees boy, and they're super attracted to each other and like they want to know what that means. And I feel like it can't really get simpler than that. Like they look at each other and they're attracted to each other. And that's like from beauty. Whereas the romantics were like, well, why do we feel this way? Why do we think it's beautiful? Like what makes her beautiful? And like these poems aren't like that at all. It's just like at the end, like all he said was like, she has a nice face. Like he never said anything about like why her face was nice or why he felt that way or like any of that stuff. Like he straight up just said like she has a nice face. And so it kind of just shows that like they thought way more simply. The Victorians thought way, way, way more simply than the Romantics did.
Nice. Did you have any other notes, Susanna?
Nope.
Sweet. I think I covered it. I think I can get a page and a half in there.
Okay. If not, call us up on Facebook and we'll help you.
Call us up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start another Google Hangout at midnight, right before it's due.
Okay.
You guys are online. Yeah.
11:59, I'll log on.
Okay, sweet. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast then.